Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and for some, a very early morning, possibly. So my name's Nicola Quayle, and on behalf of my colleagues in the APAC AI Marketers Guild, Daksh, Sushmita, Anadi, and Helen, we are super excited to have everyone here for our second webinar. We've got marketers and the AI curious joining us from all over the Asia Pacific region, from New Zealand to Australia to Singapore to India, and some dialing in from New York. So it just goes to show how important it is for us to build a strong community like this in this part of the world. Now, as many of you know and probably have experienced, there's a new AI tool popping up, every other day, and we know it can be tough to keep up. Which tool should you invest your time in? Will it still be even relevant next month? The AI landscape is changing fast, and it's important to have someone who can help you navigate it. And so this is why we are so honoured and really excited to introduce our speaker today. So Guneet Singh is a visionary leader with over 20 years of experience with tech giants like Google, Microsoft, and Samsung. So Guneet's expertise lies in understanding consumer needs, connecting them with brand benefits, and of course, crafting compelling stories that drive business impact. He's the mastermind behind the award-winning Reunion campaign, Google's first brand campaign in India, and one of the most successful search campaigns globally. And is also recognized as one of the top 50 CMOs of India and APAC Digital Marketer of the Year. So I'm actually going to let Guneet introduce a little bit more and tell us a little bit more about himself. And once we've listened to Guneet, it's a really interactive session. So feel free to jump in the chat, pop your questions, and then we're going to leave time at the end for Q&A. So let's give a very warm welcome to Guneet.
Thank you so much, Nicola. Hi, everyone. I won't go through the series of the sunrise greetings, but really good to be here and having a chat with everyone today. Nicola has been very kind in reading out a very large sort of introduction for me. I'm just like all of you, somebody who likes to sort of take a business, talk about it to a few consumers, and extract some value out of it. That's what really marketers are all about. So. And I've done this at a few places, but I think what's really exciting for me at every time has been the opportunity to sort of keep trying out new stuff. And I know, so I was meeting with some kids from NUS recently, and they said, hey, there's a bunch of new AI coming in. By the time we start working, a bunch of stuff will be done by AI. So what do we learn to be? My point was be curious, because that'll never go out of skill. And that's what really brings me here today. I'm just really curious. I'm not representing Google today in any form. This is just me as a marketer playing with the tool and sharing with you what we can do with it. Now, there's a lot we can do with AI. And as Nicola said, there is a new tool popping up every day. In fact, more than one tool popping up every day if I look at some of the AI directories that are coming up. And so it can be a lot. It's good to, at that point, get grounded in a few which are going to stay around for some time. And so this NotebookLM tool is one of those which I had an opportunity to sort of play with from the time it was literally a scratch board. And it's really good to see where it's come to today. It's going to be around. It seems to be one of the first few good user wins in this space from Google. And I'm sure they'll continue to sort of keep pushing this. Very interesting piece that's happened is that they've also sort of now extending it slowly into workspace, which is their business and enterprise solution space, which means it will exist for some time to come. Why I'm saying that is because it's tough to keep learning a new tool every day. And you don't have time to learn a new tool every day, even though how exciting it is. I fundamentally believe if we get to know how to use a tool 70%, it's better than trying to get to know 7 tools at 10%. So what we'll try today is just play with this tool and sort of try and see what we can do with it. I hope you all have a browser window open because I do want you to try out stuff. This is not all talk. There is going to be a lot of walk, which we'll do together, hopefully. But let's start with this. And I noticed some chat messages floating in. I love to sort of keep interaction going. Tell me if you actually got a smart and free assistant today, what would you want it to do for you? I'd love to see what our messages in chat show up. So what would you like it to do for you? Take a moment. You've got a free assistant. Think of it as an intern, pretty smart, knows a bunch of stuff about you and your business and your brand. What would you want it to do for you? Write me a business plan, Nicola. Wow. Yeah. David asked for a tough one too. Okay, create content. Yes, so there's a bunch of stuff, right? As soon as we think of an assistant, we really, really want a bunch of stuff to happen. So I'm going to set expectations right. It might not do all of the stuff that we are seeing on the chat, but it can do a bunch of that stuff really well. And for the other stuff, we'll get you started. And it will get you to move along and just move along a little bit faster. So with that, let's start jumping into what we want to discuss on NotebookLM today. So let's start with what it is. I'm just going to take a few minutes to walk you through what the product is, because I don't know if everybody's had a chance to really experience it. So NotebookLM, think of it as a language model that has been built from your notes. So we're all familiar with ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and so on. And those are those worldwide internet of humanity sort of databases that have been used to create a language model. Now, obviously, they're very, very wide. Therefore, when you want to focus on something very specific, which is your business or a specific piece of content, they can be like trying to suck up the world with this giant vacuum cleaner when you really just want to pick up one little thing with a set of tweezers. And so that's what NotebookLM does, right? Think of it as your AI tweezers instead of like this huge vacuum suction head that exists. And it really basically is a language model. It comes from your notes. And you put your notes in a notebook, so that's how the name came about. Now, the most fun part of this is it's geek safe, right? You don't have to be a geek to know this. It's very, very simple. Everybody can use it. You don't have to go in and write any Python scripts. You don't have to learn fancy prompt engineering. You don't have to take bunch of code or drag drop stuff on a no code website interface and try and get this to work. It's pretty much like a simple web note. You pick it up, you dump in the stuff that you wanted to know about. And then it just becomes an expert on that for you. And it's an expert assistant waiting for you on that. So what it does is you put in all the information, it becomes an expert on that. That becomes its primary source of information. And then it taps into all the general internet overall knowledge that Gemini has and brings the two together to really start working for you. The other really important piece is it's privacy and data first safe, right? So with all the other models, typically the stuff that you upload, you might or might not have the right controls set up, or you might not have the right subscriptions to make sure that your data is not used for training. In NotebookLM, your data is never used for training, especially if you're using an enterprise login, a Google Workspace login, or an education login. There is absolutely at no time the data gets trained. If you're using a consumer login, like the one I'm going to use today to demonstrate, only if you put feedback on the answer, then some of those might go back to a human reviewer to figure out and how to improve the product. But if you don't put feedback, hey, your data is not getting used to train. So you can put in any data that you want, and it will not get used as training data. So this is firewalled and privacy first. The other fun stuff, it's shareable. So it's not like you're doing your own bit of work in one corner with yourself, and then you copy paste stuff into a Word doc or into an email and send it over to somebody in the team and say, let's collaborate. You can actually share the entire knowledge base that you've built up. And you and your team can sort of collaborate on it, brainstorming together, working together on it. So it becomes like a shareable piece. And so think of it really as that really bright student you used to have in school with you who would take all notes in a lecture that you missed. And that they would come back and be very, very helpful and share all those notes and the summary of those notes for you, sit across while you give them a Coke can as gratuity, and they answer all the questions that you want about what that lecture was. So think about NotebookLM somewhere in that place. And what's best, now think of it as somebody who's going to sit across with a group of 4 of you and do this. So it is shareable. It's not one-on-one knowledge that you can build up. Let's go through a few more product specs, and then we'll jump straight into demos. So it's powerful and it's free. And I'm sort of calling out the free part because I know there's $20 subscriptions on a bunch of stuff. NotebookLM right now is free, so you can all sort of get your hands on it, start using it. Your teams can start playing with it. It's fairly generous. In every account, you can make 100 notebooks. And that's a fair bit. I don't think I've sort of come anywhere close to creating 100 notebooks. And you can choose to delete if you want. If you cap out at 100, you can choose to delete a few and then go back and use up all the way to 100, so it doesn't sort of retain them. You can add up to 50 sources per notebook. Each source that you upload into a notebook can have 500,000 words or be up to 200 MB of data. Beyond which, I'll show you how you can make notes within the notebook. You can create up to 1,000 notes within a notebook. So it's a really, really generous canvas for you to play around with. And you can create, if you think of our world, we have specific pieces, either with different teams or different media channels or different customers, different partners. You can choose to create notebooks for each one of those slices as you feel like and you need. And you can share some, you can keep some private, and there's still a very wide landscape available. It takes a lot of input sources, so you don't have to do, like I said, any new fancy sort of work to get information in. Your existing PDFs, images which are in PDF forms, website links, Google Docs slides, very nice integrations as expected, YouTube links, and audio files from very recently. They can all go in. Now, the one piece, which is a bit of meh right now, for most marketers, it can't take sheets, Excel tables, etc. right away. There's a bit of a hack, and I'll walk you through that hack later on that you can sort of use to sort of even get those in. But fairly unlimited sources of data can sort of get put in. And then, frankly speaking, the engine at the backend, which is Google's Gemini 1.5 Pro that is currently in use. The good thing is that at the backend, they keep updating the Gemini engine to the latest one, so you're never running an obsolete one. And because of the Gemini backend, it can support up to 35 languages. It's available in close to 180 countries around the world. So if you've got a spread out remote team, most places will be able to access it. Another little piece that it can't do right now, in Gemini, you can create images now. This one cannot images for you yet. So that's another piece that you just want to watch out. So no tables, no images, but then a really, really wide landscape and canvas for you to do what you want to. Okay, so that's all the theory we want to do today. Now let's do a bit of fun stuff and start sort of using this. So I call this playtime. It's something which I sort of came up being a marketer. You sort of, you like sort of putting a little bit of tiny little funny brands to things. So I decided to sort of play on the word play. And so you play with PlayI, you just play, right? So let's do this. I want everyone to sort of go on to their browser windows and type in notebooklm.google.com. So we'll do this. Let me know if you can see this. This is probably what you're going to see. Type in new notebook. You will see something called upload sources. Go to website. Now go to your LinkedIn and put in your LinkedIn URL here. When you download the profile, nothing, just take your LinkedIn URL and put it right over here. Like this, okay? Let it come back over here. And let's see in chat, keep letting me know if you're good with this so I can paste the right way. Okay, you've got that going. Great. Now, while that's there, go ahead and open, once you have your LinkedIn showing up over here as a source, make sure it's ticked. Go to Notebook Guide. And you'll see a generate audio overview over here. So this is where I put in my LinkedIn profile. There's a tiny bit of summary over here. This is what you will see. You can click on generate. and then just come back right on top over here and put a name. I just put I'm remarkable. Anyone can do this. Okay. With that, we're going to switch back. I know this is fun. It's a great surface. You've got into it, but I want to need your attention back on the slideware for some more time as we jump back. So let's leave this. Let NotebookML do it, sort of do its work. It'll generate an audio overview. We'll come back to that. Let's see what we're going to do, some of the other stuff that we can do with this. Okay, so when you think of your role as a marketer, and what are some of the areas that NotebookLM can help you with? Let's start with some of these things, right? One, it can help you stay on top of things. I'm sure all of you get like a bunch of things that you have to consume every day, and you only have 24 hours, out of which we got to sleep, we got to play, we got to have some other stuff to do. We can't just be consuming all the information that's coming our way through the social feeds, through LinkedIn, through emails, all the stuff that's coming. You have to, it's tough to go ahead and consume everything. There is an information overload. But as marketers, we do want to stay on top of things. Now that new information, new research, competition, what's happening, product information, etc. There's a bunch of stuff that's coming your way. So it really helps you stay on top of things. And we'll go through a bunch of ways of how you can do that. The second thing, which is what marketers really like to do, is, hey, we find the user insight and we create the business value for that from those. Now, how do you keep doing that? How do you sort of keep looking at tons of research, find patterns, any sort of trends, and then make decisions? Again, it's something that I would typically see research reports. They're never generally shorter than 50 pages. It takes time to go through 50 pages, right? And they might have some nice fancy graphs in between, but 50 pages, and if you have to go through one a week, well, it's a lot of time spent on just trying to read through research and figure out what to do. You're just spending more time reading versus spending time on what you can do with it. And so this tool will help you do a lot more of, hey, what can I do with it versus trying to go through it. Action, right? There's a lot of conversation on actionability. We want to be agile marketers. How do we look at stuff, get stuff out quickly? Can we share information for our content teams, our creative teams, our digital teams so that they can act on things? Well, so it will help you become faster in action. And then finally, teamwork. There is, beyond what we think are tasks that marketers have to do, are tasks that almost everybody has to do. Things like team meetings. We've got great tools to take notes now, but do you remember what happened in the meeting, which was 8 weeks ago? Or do you sort of try going back into the file and then sort of scrolling up and down? And if it's now one of those new AI transcripts, you'll have like a 4-page meeting note at the bare minimum, if not 7-page, for a 1-hour meeting. And so you can imagine you just increase your information load somewhere along the way. Or what about sending newsletters out to like cross-functional teams saying, hey, you know what, my team did this amazing stuff on the last quarter. I just want to keep you informed. And again, you sort of go down, sort of trying to figure out everything that happened in the last quarter, do that. So there's a bunch of stuff which can happen with the team. There's also cross-functional engagement. Your product teams are there shipping out new features, new product benefits every day. And your marketing teams are having a tough time staying up to them. Your support teams are having a tough time. So this can help you build a beautiful product knowledge database also. So it helps unlock teamwork along the way. So this is some of the ways that we can sort of think of using NotebookLM, staying on top of things, finding insights quickly, making our insights into actionable tasks or briefs for our teams to get going on, and just facilitating a lot of easy teamwork. Okay, let's start getting into some of these. So we'll start with the first one. Our first play helps you stay on top of things. Now, how many of you received like a 1-hour YouTube video of a great talk that you wanted to hear, but you just didn't have the time, right? Or you don't have 1 hour at least to give to it. So happened recently. So I'm going to just go back and show you what we did with it. Okay, so I got this link the other day, which was Seth Godin on branding and marketing. It's a 1 hour, 1 hour sort of YouTube video, branding and marketing in the age of AI with Seth Godin. I love reading about what he has. He has a bunch of really interesting content. But frankly speaking, this week I didn't have that 1 hour. So what did I do? I just dumped the link here, pretty much the same way we dumped the link last time for your LinkedIn profile. And you notice this notebook guide over here? fun place. It has a lot of easy stuff. We don't even have to think. You go here and gives me a summary. Oh, what is this? This is an interview with Seth Godin. It sort of focuses on a bunch of stuff that AI cannot replicate. Let me get a briefing out of this. Let's see. So let's generate a briefing doc. Did you notice there was a briefing doc button I just clicked? I didn't have to type in, no fancy prompt, nothing, just clicked on that. Give it a few seconds. It does send stuff back to the server, bring it back, and let's see what is there. So we've got a nice little briefing doc over here saying, hey, key themes, branding is not about logos, positioning is generous, power of storytelling, embracing the smallest viable market, da-da-da-da-da. Important facts, there's tension in marketing, authenticity versus integrity, some interesting quotes. Storytelling is the basic human technology. AI is the biggest change in our world since the invention of electricity, and a nice little conclusion. You can possibly read through this in under 5 minutes. It's a good little synthesis. Now I say, this is interesting. I want to understand a little bit more about what is permission marketing is key. So I just sort of quickly copy this in. By the way, this entire piece is saved here as a note. So remember I mentioned you can have 1,000 notes in every notebook. So this is one note. So let's say I want to understand a little bit more on this. What did he mean? And I'm going to the chat box here. And now I can literally sort of have a conversation with the video, very, very specifically on the stuff that we can do. So this gets a lot more detailed on what is there on permission marketing. So this is now extracting from the video, sharing a bunch of stuff, saying, hey, essentially what an advocate for a shift from interruptive to relationship-focused marketing, and so on. I think this is really useful. It's possibly something that I can use. So I say save to note. Once I save to note, this becomes an additional note over here that is saved, and I can reference it whenever I want later on. The other interesting piece that you'll notice in this is there are citations in all of this. So if I look at a specific citation, it tells me what exactly was there, which part of the video, what was the exact thing that was spoken. So you have very, very clear information of when a summary is come to you, how that summary is grounded into the actual source file that you've sent. I noticed a question saying, is Notebook using Google Gemini AI model? Yes, it does. And because it's grounded in the information that you've provided, it becomes much more sharper and focused. Okay, now you've got this, very interesting. I have somebody in my team who I wanted to sort of share a little bit about more permission marketing. I think we really want to get going on that. So I can say, compose an email to my team, asking them to consider more about permission marketing, why it's important, and plan for a brainstorm next week. By the way, notice my spellings are not necessarily exact. My grammar can go up and down the questions. It is smart enough as an assistant to sort of go through that, right? So you don't have to literally sit down and be slow typing. You can type as fast as you want. It doesn't take voice inputs yet. Hopefully something that will come in sometime. And then you can probably just literally speak to it. And so now this is an email that's come specifically based on the information that was there from the video and using the foundation of Gemini models. So it says, hey team, hope the email finds you well. I came across this insightful thoughts on permission marketing. We'd love to see how we can strengthen our CRM, why permission marketing matters, some pieces, key takeaways, etc. And I'd like to dedicate some time next week to a brainstorm. Now you can just copy this from here and send in your email. It's a quick, simple way of coming back, staying on top of things, right? So this was a video. You could do this with a bunch of things. And we will do it with a bunch of things. Let's try the next few things. Research. Remember I mentioned those 60-page researches? I came across this beautiful research on Gen Z from Snap, which has been released in India just last week. So for those of you who are in India, you might have sort of come across this. I didn't have time again to read a 60-page PDF. I really wanted to. We're doing some interesting work in Gen Z, but didn't really want to sort of read through a 60-page PDF. So what did I do? This is what we did. This was the detailed Snapchat report. It's a huge PDF. I just put the PDF in. And by the way, as you notice, I made this new notebook LM, called it Gen Z report, uploaded this source. There's a very interesting thing how you can go back to your sources. If you have 20, 30 sources over here, you can really just click on the source and you will see a summary of the source. Each specific source has been summarized over here. So this report, joint effort by BCG and Snapchat, explores the potential of Generation Z in India, highlighting their growing spending power, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It tells you the key topics that are covered in the report, so it's already summarized those for you. And you have this all here. Okay, so we have this. Now, I talked to you about creating an executive briefing doc. I could go from here and not necessarily have to go through all the questions. You notice some interesting questions automatically coming up over here. So what are the most impactful strategies brands can implement? So it is thinking of suggested questions basis what you've uploaded and what it thinks are right. Now, this is where the Gemini grounding comes in. And rather than me trying to kick off a conversation on this huge report, I can actually start with this first question over here, which is already suggested. And we will see that it comes up possibly with some response of which it will read from the research. Now, this is not going to be general strategies which are there. These are grounded very specifically into this report. So these are examples of what they've suggested. For example, you'll have the fashion brand example, which is in this report coming in, immersive experience journeys, the Chinese fashion player which used it, which used Snapchat and so on. So interesting stuff. Now, what would we like to do with this as a marketeer, right? So we can say, hey, send a note to my team, asking them to explore, Snapchat lens based on the report. And hey, my business is B2C cosmetics, right? And it will specifically sort of figure out a note which says, hey, this is what the report was. It talks about the value of AR lenses. There's an opportunity for us to explore with Snapchat. We could try and do things like makeup, tutorials, gamify the experience. Let's brainstorm on some stuff and get going. So interesting way of sort of just picking up that research, getting stuff out, getting it forward in front of your team. I mentioned the other piece that you could do. This is very similar to what we did with YouTube, right? We took a video, we took a research PDF. But what's another interesting thing that we can do is we can connect multiple sources. So what I did over here was I took a luxury D2C fragrance brand that has come up in India recently. And I just linked their website here. And there's no other business details. It's just their website that shows up over here. So it's just pulled up. You notice this is just literally like a scraping of the website. They have a bunch of products over here. So you can't really make out too much from this. But it's basically an online store for this company called Bella Vita Organic, sells a few products. And it's basically got me, now what I have over here is the Snapchat report and the business, right? Now what I can do is I can ask it to very, very specifically go ahead and say, draft a brief for my social media team, asking them to integrate the latest insights from the Snapchat report. You can see I'm creating a call out for the specific source over here for the Bella Vita business. suggests 3 action items for next week. Right? So let's make it action. So what it's basically going to do is going to start looking at everything that's there on the website. Now, this is just a website, but you can choose to go ahead and put in a lot more detail about what your business is. This was just a very, very scrappy store. But what it does, now it looks at the business. This was fragrance. It looks at the report that is there, that's from Snapchat, and actually starts saying, hey, how can we tailor your social media strategy? So key insights, which are relevant for the business, largest generation, trends, etc. Now, therefore, specific action items for the social media team, trend-focused content, identify items aligning with the Gen Z trends. Example, if retro style is trending, showing the trend, create a reel featuring so-and-so, enhance shopifyization, collaborate with creators. And so you start getting these first set of ideas that your team can start at least triggering their conversation off, like, create a poll asking followers which shade of lipstick they prefer. You could sort of literally just get going from here. This would be very, very sort of useful. This is what I really call 1 + 1 = 11, because you basically can start dumping in multiple sources of information. And you can have NotebookLM and identify insights and patterns and start connecting all of these elements to make it useful. Let's try another thing which many of us get into. Has any of you ever seen like Google Analytics report for your website or for a business and wanting to sort of look at it, seen like 17 tables, 14 graphs, and like, okay, let me just ask someone else to look at it. I really don't have the time to go through this, right? So what I requested Daksh yesterday was to send me an analytics for a business. And he chose to send me one for a company called Overleaf. He was very shy, so he shared only 7 days of data with me. He chose not to make life more complex for me, so he sort of made it only that. But now let's see, I got this PDF from him. You can see this is literally like a table and images and graphs being scraped. Doesn't make any sense. I really don't want to waste any time with it. But now I have that. And I just put the Overleaf website. So I have these 2 pieces here. There's Google Analytics and there's Overleaf website. And I can say, what are the top 3 insights from the analytics? Right. And I haven't even looked at the PDF. And Daksh, if you've actually seen the analytics, unless you just sent me a dump, you can tell me if this is right. Most users come from organic search. China is the country with most active users. Most popular home pages are homepage and a Chinese version of the homepage that is there. I don't know if this was correct.
Guneet, guess what? We have Sangeeta in the call and she's representing Overleafs.
Okay, perfect. So that's great. So if Sangeeta thinks this is right, that is the proof of the pudding that we have. Like I said, Daksh gave me like barely 7 days of data on this. So let's say we have this. Now you've got this saying organic search. So now let's brainstorm with this. I guess it's a smart assistant, right? And it is grounded in the world of information beyond what you've provided it also. So what can we do to increase traffic? A fundamental question, not too complicated. I'm sure most people would want to do that. So it says focus on SEO, target the Chinese market, explore referral, etc. Great. So I can say, can you analyze the homepage and suggest specific SEO optimizations considering Google's best practices? Right now, this is where it's going to step out and go into the Gemini knowledge base and get going into this. Now, see what it's suggesting, right? It's saying, hey, understand the user base, find some target keywords, optimizing for China, specific optimizations, homepage, sort of speed, etc. All of these are great. Let's say, suggest some ads, search ads I can use to increase traffic. I know nobody likes writing search ad copies. We tried that for like 15 years. Nobody enjoys doing that. So let's say, what does it show for search ads, right? So there's a bunch of search ads that started coming up. Keyword, headline, descriptions, all started sort of show up over here. Targeting educators, targeting students, targeting the Chinese market, translated, general tips, etc. And then it's got a bunch of saying setting up realistic budgets and so on and so forth, right? So let's say I want to say identify some low cost, high traffic keywords I should bid on. Right, so it's going to try and go and find some stuff. And so say its sources offer limited information. There's some educated guesses. Now, this is educated guesses means you're basically stepping outside of the sources and finding some of these long tail keywords. So for educators, for students, where to download IB history, past papers, best Excel economics study level A guides, bunch of stuff that started sort of coming up over here. And if you think you really want to use this to build your SEO or SEM strategy, you can get in a lot more data from your AdWords accounts, dump it over here. You can put in some standard Google queries information, dump it over here. And what it's really going to do is it'll start passing through all the data sources, keep looking at the additional market that's there and pulling stuff out. You can also throw in some competition websites if you want over here. Just like I put in the Overleaf website, you could put in like the 3 other competitors for Overleaf and see what they are doing. And this is basically trying to make sure that you look at data and then you find the patterns and you can make it very, very actionable. So you could then get this across to your search team to start playing with it. Or you could form some hypothesis and then go to them to try them out and experiment. Okay, so how's that going? I hope that's interesting and useful and you've seen what it can do. Let's go to catalyze action, right? This is again, part of what we've already been doing, but I want to give you another view and perspective into this. Who's seen tables of consumer responses, social sentiment of comments, etc. hit them? Anybody? Yes. So what I did on this was I took in a little bit of research that we have. Now, this is a table, right? I mentioned I would give you a bit of a hack for a table where you can't upload an Excel or a table, etc. So you can convert them into a PDF, right? And you can dump that PDF. So what this is a bit of a small survey that a team of mine had run with influencers in India a few weeks ago. So it's to just give you a sense, it's around 1,200 data cells, not too complicated. So around 35 odd columns, 30 odd row items. Each one of them has detailed text inputs. Some of them there were open field inputs also. So it's around 1,200 sort of data cells, which have all been put over here. Now I want to clarify that once I make a PDF table of that entire sheet, and you don't have to worry about font size, you just sort of make sure that all of it fits on one sheet. So you can go to font size 2. The AI does not need prescription glasses to read through this, unlike humans. So it can read at font size 2 and font size 1 also. So you can go as small as you want. Just try and fit the table on one sheet versus more than one sheet because it's not able to maintain context across multiple sheets. Having said that, it's not a data analyst. So please don't expect it to give you correlations. Don't expect it to tell you exact counts and percentages. When you get a lot of research at times, which could be customer sentiment, some surveys that you've run, that's typically the beginning of our work. That's where we start thinking, and then we take insights from that, and we can get it across to product teams to build stuff. We can get it across to our marketing teams to build content. We can get it across to our customer service teams to build, sort of scripts, or to our sales teams to build the right pitch docs, right? So typically, insights, this is the voice of customer work that all marketers do. This is really, we trigger, our work starts. So now this dump of 1,200 is here. I'm again going to kick off on this because this makes things really, really simple. It's actually looked at some of these headlines, which were actually the column heads and questions in the survey. and looked at that. So let's start from one of these. What are the key challenges influencers face in navigating the ever-evolving landscape? Sorry, actually, before I get there, you notice that from an Excel sheet of data, it's actually picked up this entire summary. It's a survey that explores the challenges and needs of influencers on social media. Survey questions explore social media platforms influencers use, their follower count, how they find brand partnerships, their biggest challenges, potentials, benefits of any new platform, and so on and so forth. And we can say, based on the research, build a social media plan for this new platform, new influencer platform. Suggest the first post. So you can really start triggering content also out of this. And similarly, you can actually ask it to build sales scripts and so on. So you can see what it's happening. It's a fairly long thing. Who's your target audience? This is like a brief you can send over to your social team now. Your target audience, primary, secondary, what's the platform focus, the media platforms you want to focus on, content strategy, suggestion of the first post, even tries to sort of suggest things like what visuals you can use. So this is some of the stuff that you can do, which really helps you sort of pick up survey data also, which was more around trixes and graphs and tables, and really use that also to go ahead and create analysis, insights, and then pass it on along the way.
So Guneet, if I may jump in now, because we've got a bunch of questions coming in.
Yes.
And I can see the community is going to shoot. First of all, I think it's probably the best masterclass I have seen on how to use NotebookLM. So thank you so much for that. I'll straight away jump into the questions.
Yes.
I'll first shoot what is already there in the Zoom chat, and then what we could do is, we could just open it up and everybody would ask. So I think the first question that we had is, can we create a PPT using responses we got from Notebook Research? So can we do that right now?
Can you make a PPT? Yes. What you can ask it to do is to create a presentation or a session outline. And then you can take that outline and dump it into some of the other tools that exist like Gamma. And it can sort of generate, you can get your session outline from there. You can start creating slides. It will not create specific slides for you, but it will create a slide outline for you. So you can, for example, we talk about the Snap survey. You could dump in the Snap survey, say, give me create a 10 slide executive summary presentation outline from this. It will give you the outline, and you can then dump it into a presentation making tool and get your slides out.
All right. So at one point of time, you were also customizing the NotebookLM notes. So can we rename the notes that are there? I see that they're already existing names. So is it possible to rename them?
Oh yes. Thanks for actually asking that. So let's see if there's a note in one of these. Yeah, so let's say this was a note. I can say, so you can call this, like I said, it was a play note. I can call it.
Got it.
Touch note.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Okay. And there was also, I think that's more of a request. So right after the end of session, if you could share the said Gordon and the Snapchat one, because there was a request that you could share that note.
Yeah, then public domain information, everything.
Guneet, I'll take one more question, and while we are at it, for those of you who are not a part of the AIMG APAC community, this is the QR code for you to join. We're building a WhatsApp community for marketers to stay connected and also learn about new resources as well as future sessions. So there's one more question, Guneet, from Nishita, and she's asking, how can small marketing teams leverage outputs together and jointly put in inputs and build on each other's work? So I think she's probably talking about the sharing capability versus working individually on NotebookLM. So it seems like a feature request for the future.
Well, so there is a bit of sharing that's already there. That's built into NotebookLM today. So it's not that it's confined only to you. You can choose to share it out. Standard Google Docs experience, you have an edit view and you have a view that you can share. So you can have teammates who can just view the stuff that has been done. They can ask questions of all sorts. but they will not be able to add sources or create more notes on it. Or you can give them an edit access, which means they can add new sources into it, and they can actually create new notes and pin them also. So you have all of that sharing that's available today. In fact, one of the things that I used it for was team meeting notes, where we had, transcriptions of meeting notes that were just getting added every week by the team. And there was a rotating chair, so somebody in the team would be the chair who would make sure the notes would get added in. But then they'd be available to sort of just query, summarize, look back, go forward, and so on in a very, very convenient way. And when you have large team meetings every, for an hour at least every week, you very quickly add up notes. So it becomes a really good way of sort of playing things. The other is actually on product. When you have a really agile product development happening, there's new feature sets that are coming. It's great to have an enterprise-wide product knowledge database sort of setup. So that support teams, sales teams, marketing teams, somebody who's new and onboarding, they all have this literally like a product encyclopedia, which is constantly updated that they can query in and ask questions and go on. The beautiful thing is if you actually come across a question which is not documented and you talk to a product person and you find an answer, you can dump it as a note. And the note also gets indexed back into the answers.
Sounds awesome, Guneet. I think I'm still absorbing all the learnings. Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again for the insightful session. And with that, we're going to call it, a day for the second session. Thank you so much from Sushmita, Nicola, Helen, as well as Anadi and myself for coming today. And we hope you enjoyed the session. We are going to share the link to the recording later. And I hope you have scanned the QR code to join the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much once again. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.